Hey guys, welcome back to my club's fanfic. So, this is it, the last fic of the four new fics that I'm reading as with the name updated for you. So here it is, our last fic. After this, alright, anyways, let's get on to this last fic I'm gonna do. This is called Drift Compatible. It is a Pacific Rim Rising AU and friends to not friends to future lovers. Be shifting things. They have a past, but they work through it. And there's mutual pining and then tension. Okay. There's a lot of things involved right here in this. This is based on the Pacific Rim. Okay. And the one shot here down below, the prompt is this one. A clan's AU taking place in the Pacific Rim Uprising universe. If you don't know that much of a movie, I'll explain to you. Okay. Pacific Rim Uprising. Yeah, this one. This is what we're talking about. This is exactly what I'm talking about. This came out. This came out in 2018, right? So there's a lot of robots involved, and there's a lot of teams coming away. Read out what the description says. But so yeah, it's taking place in the Pacific Rim Uprising universe, loosely based on the dynamic of Nate and Jake. If you know those characters, you watched them. Based on the several scenes, the prompter had brainstormed with a friend. So this had brainstormed with someone else too. So that makes sense here. All right, let's read out the summary. What this is. It's been 10 years since the war with the kaiju and since the rip was close. And it's been 6 years since Sheriff championed people and the hero of the war went missing. It's been 5 years since Keith was kicked out of the Jaeger training. Now with Sheriff's re-emergence, Keith finds himself returning to the Shadow Dome in the program. Now, apparently, with the honorary title of Ranger and a new circuit in tow, Pidge Holt, who had built and operated her own single-person Jaeger and had helped Keith rescue Shiro. Now Keith is suddenly expected to be a role model for a new wave of cadets and do so with none other than Lance McLean, his old rival, co-pilot at Crush. They didn't exactly end on good terms, and Keith is definitely not eager to drift with him, especially when his Crush is still going strong. They butt heads more than ever, and Keith doesn't have much hope. But sometimes life can surprise you. This is here we're getting to the point of where this. So yeah, this prompt was written in August. The one shot was written in August 2019. So again, about 3 years. So okay, are you ready to read this fic? All right, let's do this. Drift compatible. The Shadow Dome, big and gray, covered in metal and polished to a shine, lit up with lights and crawling with people, swarming around the giant mechs like ants. He never thought he'd be back here. He didn't have to come, says a voice at his elbow, and he startles. He nearly forgotten about Pitch, too wrapped up in the protein base below. And apparently he started talking to himself. Great. Just not a side effect of living alone for years. Time to stamp that one, but before it gets worse. I did, he hubs as Pitch pushes against the side, practically plastering her face to the window. Her eyes are wide with wonder as they sense. He remembers that feeling. He used to have it too. He used to idolize this place. The Jaegers, the Rangers, wanted to be one of them. Now he just wants to be far away from this place. You didn't, Pitch insists. As the crab lands, she stumbles, arms flung wide to maintain her balance. He barely flinches. You had a choice, and you chose to come here. Keith scowls, brushing past her as the hatch begins to open, stomping down the ramp. I chose to stay with Cheryl. I didn't choose to be a ranger. He pauses as his feet hit concrete, gaze sweeping across the flight deck. People swarm all over, barely taking heed of the aircraft snipe, casually steaming out of the way of the Jaegers walking, turning a curious eye as two aircraft bring down a small one-man Jaeger. Its feet hit the ground, standing tall by human standards, even if the hunk of scrap is barely bigger than the real Jaeger's hand. Rover, Pitch breathes, all joy and awe, and then Jaeger probably falls for it, crashes to the deck, and Pitch lets out in no time. You think they know how to land a freaking Jaeger around here? He can feel a small smile tugging at his lips, and promptly smooths it out, already walking towards the main building. Come on, Jess says, but then she's jogging to catch up to his side, strides quick to keep up with him. What will they do with Rover? She shrugs. Don't know. Keep it. Prepare it. Study it. Scrape it. Hey, you can find out later. I'm supposed to take you to the cadet barracks. I still don't understand why I have to be a cadet and you get to be a ranger. Trust me, I'm not happy about it either. I'm the one who built and piloted my own Jaeger. Sure, you find Shiro, but you wouldn't have done it without my help. What makes you so special? Well. Keith hesitates mid-step, eyes drifting shut, breathing a heavy sigh. He knows that familiar mocking drawl, all smug and confident, blitzing at the edge with a merciless tease. He hates it. The shiver that runs down his spine proves that he doesn't hate it as much as he wants to. And he hates that more. I never thought I'd see you here again. Keith opened his eyes, stopping his tricks by none other than the boy who haunts nightmares in his dreams. Lance. He's taller than Key remembers, but Key is a little pleased to find that he might have finally gained an inch on Lance. Still, Lance stands tall, shoulders abroad, limbs long, and body lean. It filled out a lot since Keith last saw him. That adorable, gangly youth transforming into something else. Something that definitely doesn't help the whole crisis brewing in Keith's chest. Definitely doesn't help stamp out those feelings that he's been trying to smother for years. His features are still sharp, his skin is still possibly smooth. Despite the hint of stubble along his jaw, Keith is certain that if he reached out to touch, Land's cheeks would be as soft as silk, thanks to that ridiculous skincare routine he probably still uses. His chin is a little more square, the baby fat is gone, leaving the awkward stages of adolescence far behind and presenting Keith with, well, a man. And Keith's mouth definitely doesn't go dry at that. His heart definitely doesn't speed up. Definitely not when his gaze lingers on Land's broad shoulders and the definition of his arms. Definitely not when he takes in Land's short, wind-swept hair. Definitely not when he notices that those eyes are still the same. Still beautifully blue. Still sharp. Still mischievous. Still playful. Still a little hurt. Keith hides his bag high up on the shoulder, crosses his arms over his chest as he scowls down that scant inch height that he's gained. What do you want, Lance? The playfulness eases back, replaced by something harder, sharper. He lifts a brow, lips person. I'm Ranger McLean now. Keith calculates. Something traitorous, flattering issues. I'm not calling you that. Lance holds out his hands in a vague gesture, adding a casual shrug that somehow still manages to be smart. Sorry, Keithy boy. This is a military base. That's how it works. Then that smirk is back, mischievous and vengeful. Or should I say, Ranger Shirogane. Keith rolls eyes, but before he can open his mouth to snark back, Peach beats him to it. Did he just say Shirogane? She asked, taking a step to his side, glancing between them, eyes wide and on. As in, Takashi Shirogane, pilot of the Black Line, hero of basically everything? The one who closed the rift? That Shirogane? Keith grits his teeth, and screams. Yep, he says, enjoying Keith's frustration. Keith here is his baby brother. So that's why you want to stay with him so bad. That's why they made you a ranger. You're a Shirogane. Don't call me that. He snaps, gaze sharp as he turns on pitch. For her credit, she doesn't flinch, but she does frown. Straining slightly under his glare, he takes a deep breath and turns back to Lance. Patience builds focus. That's not my name anymore. Another one of those frustrating eyebrow raises. Since when? Since I changed it back to my birth name, he grumbles, waving a vague hand toward Pidge. To avoid that. Pidge has the decency to look sheepish, mumbling a half-hearted. Sorry. Keep! Suddenly a body is colliding to him, knocking the air from his lungs. Silvery white hair in his face. He doesn't have time to hug her back, but she doesn't seem to mind. She sets back, hands still in his arms, grinning at him, all gorgeous and afro. And really, it's no surprise that Lance fell for her. It's so good to see you again. He offers a small smile, because despite his mixed fingers where she's concerned, he always did like Aurora, and she was always a good pilot partner for sure. Hey, Laura, Regatius, and you must be Pitch. I heard you build a whole single pilot Jaeger by yourself. Pitch chest puffs with pride. Eyes are like, sure did. Wonderful. Then the two of them are launched deep into conversation, babbling about Jaegers and parts. He can keep up with it, of course, but he's distracted by Lance. Standing off to the side, arms still crossed, a small displeased frown on his lips. He doesn't know what that's about, but he's always been a jealous one, even when he had no reason to be jealous. He, after all, isn't into women, and Lance is an idiot. He moves forward again, shoving past Lance, making sure to hit his shoulder hard enough to make him stumble, to make him voice that ridiculous squawk of protest. Hey, watch it, Key! He then glances over his shoulder as he walks away, offering that small competitive smirk that always riled Lance. It's Ranger Cogony now. Give you a little taste of that prom right there. So after all the events happen, so he decides to go back to that shattered zone where there's Pidge there, creating a Jaeger. If you don't know what Jaeger is, you probably know that one. I think, to be honest with you, I never watched Pacific Rim. Even if I try to watch it, I don't know that much of the context. If you know the context of it, so you will understand what the story is. So yeah, and Lance, I mean, it's not, and now he's the Ranger McLean, if you want to call it. Had that little history about the Ranger Shirogane, and now he closes the rip and sacrificed him just to save, whatever the place that is. So yeah, he is feeling very jealous of that. And then the Lord comes by, and you got all the characters now already set up. Yeah, Keith's jealousy of Lance being a ranger, that definitely fuels his fire. That's something. All right, let's go. He has a new uniform now. It feels different. The weight of it is uncomfortable, but strangely enough, it fits him. Whenever he catches a glimpse of himself in the mirror, in a reflection, he's surprised. It looks good stretched over his shoulders, framing his torso. Makes him look tall, makes him look official, makes him look like a pilot, a ranger, a teammate, a sure gunny. Makes him look like everything he gave up being. But no matter how ollie good it looks on him, he thinks it's Lance more. Lance's broad shoulders were made for a ranger's jacket. The stretch of it across his back, the way it falls around a narrow waist. He wears it the same way Keith does, but he looks comfortable in it. He wears it with a pride Keith doesn't feel, and it shows. It suits him, and it's terrible for Keith's poor heart. Thankfully, the disaster of a simulation is not distracting him from his twisted up insides. Heck, it's enough to distract Lance, who has been shooting Keith glares and ripping him mercilessly with verbal jabs all morning. Keith stands at the back of the room, back leaning against the wall, one foot propped up behind him, arms crossed over his chest. He frowns, eyes on the screen outside the simulator pod. Lance stands at the control panel, leaning forward, butt popped out, elbows resting on the edge of the panel while his fingers snap together. He's concentrated, focused, eyes intent on the screen, and tongue sticking out just a little. But back to the simulation. It's pitched first, and it's not going well. They desynced in the middle of the battle. A level 3 kaiju right on top of them, tearing their mech apart, teeth bare and giant maw opening. They can hear the cadets shouting over the comms. They know they've desynced, but they can't get it back. There's frustration, Page's voice. She knows it's her fault. Then the kaiju rips them apart, and the simulation ends. The screen goes black for a moment before the stats show up. The light coming on, the whirl and the grind of gears as the inside of the pod resets. A groan of the doors as they open reveal two disgruntled cadets. And right there, Front and center as the doors open stands none other than Iverson, the same pain in the butt flight instructor that Keith decked before leaving this place. He ignored Keith the entire day, and Keith would like to keep it that way. That's the worst excuse for the simulation I've ever seen, Iverson says. Voice clipped and loud, as usual. He stands tall and imposing, staring down Paige and her partner with his one good eye. Keith can't see his face, but is willing to bet his scouts out. What the heck was that, Cadet Holt? I don't know how you expect me to trip in this thing, Paige says, ripping off her helmet. She meets Iverson's glare with a scowl of her own. Keith smiles. He likes her moxie. It smells like butt. And as for excuses, Cadet, I want answers. It's my first time drifting, and you threw me into a simulation with a level 3 kaiju. What did you expect to happen? I expected better, especially from a halt, especially from someone who bypassed the entrance exams. Turns then, catching Kate's gaze out of the corner of his eye. Not all of you belong here, and it's my job to weed out the weak. Kate meets his glaring without flinching. Paige isn't the only one with moxie. Sir, it's Lance who breaks the moment, voice surprisingly gentle, despite being commanding in his own right. Ives turns to him, out of race, voice still gruff but more respectful as security says, Got something to say, Ranger McLean? Yeah, I do. He steps away from the podium, approaching Iverson, putting himself a little between him and the cadets in the simulator, like a shield. I think we're approaching this the wrong way. We want the test pitch, but throwing her into a deep end without preparing her for it isn't really the best way to go. She had piloted her own Jaeger, but she never drifted before. Putting her up against a kaiju that gave veteran pilots trouble isn't exactly fair. Iris' eyes narrow, lips thin. This is how it is, Ranger McLean. The Ranger program is made to be tough. It's meant to mold you into soldiers. Not everyone struggles when they're thrown in the deep end. It's how you learn to swim. Isn't that right, Ranger Coggy? He keeps his fresh shot, but he meets Lance's gaze when those ocean blue eyes flicker to him. Lance slips first, twisting to a frown. There's a fire in his eyes, a determined flare that Keith is incredibly familiar with. One he remembers clear despite the years that have passed. Lance turns back to Iverson, straightening his back and lifting his chin. He crosses his arms loosely, and he looked relaxed if it weren't for how tightly he's clenching his fist. Well, sometimes cadets need a little help. Not all of us are naturals, but that doesn't mean we can't be good pilots. He jerks his chin toward the simulator. Paige has potential. She's younger than any cadet here, and she gave a guardian a run for their money in an acre she built and piloted herself. Teach her to drift, get her a compatible partner, and she'll be great. Lance meets Iverson's stare, unblinking and unflinching. He stands on his ground, tall and confident. He doesn't wilt like he used to. Doesn't curl in on himself. He speaks his mind, and he does so with compassion. And Keith, he's more than a little impressed. And those feelings, those embers he's tried so hard to smother, can feel them burning again. For a moment, he thinks Iverson will dismiss him outright, but to his surprise, Iverson looks him over, thoughtful and considering. Then he looks to the cadets. Page's partner fidgets under the hard gaze, but Page listens. We're supposed to be teaching these cadets that we're family here, Lance says. Voice gentle but stern. It hurts. Like a punch to the chest. He feels the ache in his nose. Family doesn't give up on each other. And the family answers, she's like a terrible mix between you and Collie. Lance's grin is blinding, lopsided, cocky, crinkling at the edges of his eyes with a mirth that takes Keith by the way. And we're two of the best rangers you got. So clearly she's gonna go far. Ugh, don't get cocky, Ranger McLean. Iverson hops, waving at the cadets to release themselves from the simulator. If you're so sure of yourself, why don't you and Ranger Cogny show them how it's done? You got it. He turns that unbearable grin on Keith. The first real smile he's given Keith since he's arrived. There's less venom to it, more of a playful challenge. A light in his eyes that's hard to resist. A heat that isn't meant to burn, but Keith feels himself burning on the scene. What you think, Keith? No, he says simply, pushing himself off the wall. dropping his hand to his sides. Not gonna happen. He walks out the door, ignoring Iverson's yelling after him, noticing how Lance doesn't, but he doesn't look back. Doesn't stop as he hurries away from the simulation deck because he's agreed to help with the cadet training program. He's agreed to be a ranger in name. He didn't agree to drift with Lance because drifting with Lance would mean letting him into his head, would mean letting him see all these things he would rather keep hidden, would mean admitting to both of them how he feels. Nope, definitely not going to happen. Oh boy, this that is something that we might discuss about because he got kicked out of the ranger program, and yeah, it was Iverson. Iverson was the the professor or the teacher, let's say, of all of it. This is where, yeah, he's controlling the program, and just to say like who they are and be part of this war. Page trying to make it a little harder. That simulator, okay, the decks in they're there, but Iverson just now turning to make it more harder. Turning the simulation to very hard one, just to make it very more tough than everybody else. But that's not what Lance would agree to that. Lance wanted to be the family. They're supposed to teach these cadets, to combat, to be themselves, whatever the war is happening. And then Iverson says, prove it. Prove that Lance and Keith will do it. So Lance would agree to that, but Keith say, nope, not happening because Iverson kicked Keith out of the program. Now he has nothing to do with it. Oh, poor Keith. I feel so bad for Keith about not becoming a ranger because he got kicked out of it, and that's not a good sign. Mm-mm. We'll see about that. We'll see about that. So he refuses. So I don't know what's going to happen. Keith hears him the moment he comes in, even when he's not, even when he's not talking. There's a presence to him. It's an aura he carries. It's loud, even when his mouth is shut. It's in his footsteps, boots flopping against the hard floor, stride lazy and confident all at once. Even seems to breathe loudly, hums a little to himself as he thinks. He isn't even sure he realizes does it, and he hates that he notices. He doesn't turn to look at him, doesn't even acknowledge his presence. He's ready for the jab, and he's already tired. Instead, he is a far more light-hearted and casual. There's Dactyl's weird ice cream on the top shelf. He pulls his head out of reach to look at one of a race. Lance stands there, arms crossed loosely over his chest, already sitting on the edge of the table. One knee pulled up on it, hesitant to look at Keith while the other leg dangles. He looks amused, calm. There's this secretive playful gleam in his eye, one that Keith remembers. From way back when Lance was gangly mischievous youth, always cocky, always getting in trouble. How many times did they sneak into these very same kitchens to get ice cream at 2 in the morning? Too many. It feels so much like those times. Keith's chest swells and looks away, straightening as he reaches for the top shelf. And sure enough, there's lactose-free ice cream. I'm surprised they still have this, he murmurs, slapping the top on the metal table with a little care. They're not cadets anymore. He doesn't have to sneak. He pleases himself by peeling open the carton, scooping large amounts of the bowl he's already prepared, mostly, entirely, till we're looking at Lance. You're not the only one with dietary restrictions, Lance says. While it could be sake, it's decidedly not, which is confusing. It's playful, light, the way it was once upon a time, sometimes, when they weren't fighting. Besides, he says, reaching for the carton that Keith sets aside, snatching up his spoon and dipping it into the ice cream. He licks it off the spoon, shooting Keith a wink when Keith glares at him. Got me hooked on stuff, so I make sure they keep it stocked. Oh, how Keith hates his old back and forth. Lance is annoying, Lance nice, Lance inspiring, Lance is rude, Lance hates him, Lance flirts with him, Lance compliments with him, Lance fights with him, round and round again. How the hell did he ever manage to get feelings for someone so frustrating? Oh yeah, because he's the only one Keith has ever really clicked with, despite their faults, despite how they butt heads, despite their fights. There's just something about Lance. Lance gets him, and he gets Lance. Maybe not always, but in the con pod, he and Lance, they synced. He's seen Lance at his worst, all the things that haunt him, and Lance has seen him, all of him, and none of it matters. Or maybe all of it matters. What matters is they were a really good team, but not even that mattered in the end. Whoa there! Easy on the topping, stranger Cogony. There is again that light-hearted tease, that playfulness, that relative amusement and subtle insinuation, the implication that they're friends, and maybe that. No, not going there. He's not going to let himself fall into that pit again, thinking Lance is flirting with him. That's just a pipe dream. His hand stills, whipped cream can at the angle over the bowl. His ice cream is already covered in sprinkles, cherries, chocolate, and caramel sauce. Holding Lance's gaze without blinching. He presses down on the dispenser, filling the room with the sound of air pressure as he squirts out a large dollop of whipped cream over his ice cream, enough to bury the whole thing. Lance sputters out a lap, popping another spoonful of ice cream to his mouth to stifle it. It doesn't quite hide a smile, though. That peeks through the corners at the way his eyes crinkle. I knew you had a shirt too, but this is ridiculous, he says, pointing at Key with his spoon. He shrugs, setting the can's head. I've been living on bland canned food scavenged for dead zones for the past few years. I'm going to enjoy this while I can. While you can, Lance echoes, and when Key glances at him, you can see that little frown, the pinch between his brows. Keith sighs, exasperated and tired, trying to cut the chase. What are you doing here, Lance? We need to talk. All business, all serious, all stern looks and pursed lips. Good. Lance has learned to stop beating around the bush, to be direct with conversation. I want to know what your deal is and why you won't drift with me. Too bad Keith is in the mood to give me a straight answer. We're not talking about this. He picks up his bowl, grabs a new spoon, and abandons the toppings on the table as he moves right, making a beeline for the door. Unfortunately, Lance has those gotten quicker. Yes, we are. He grabs Keith's arm, spinning around. Keith pulls out of his grip, taking a step back. Lance is right there, stepping up into his face. Body too close, face too close, just too close. Keith's heart is in his throat. You're a ranger now, Keith, he says, eyes twisting with blue furry, with passion, with a heat that Keith can't identify. You and I are drift compatible, and I need a partner. You, Lance swallows hard, lips twisting, but the look in his eyes has changed. You're the best, and I can drift with you. So I want to know why the heck you're avoiding me. He takes another step back, needing the space, needing the air. He breathes heavily through his nose, tries to focus on the cold bowl in his hand, and not the heat of Lance's breath rushing across his face as they stood so close. He glares, scowls, because that's what feels the most comfortable, and he needs to get this point across. I heard you already had a new partner. You and Hunk pilot the Red Lion. He tries to keep his voice neutral, but it tastes bitter on his tongue. You don't need me. Lance rolls his eyes, passed into an exaggerated frown, waves a hand as if batting away Keith's protest like one would a fly. Hunk? I mean, don't get me wrong. He's my best friend. We can pilot Red, but he 100% preferred to be a mechanic. He's not my partner because he wants to be. He's my partner because I needed a partner and we're compatible. I'm not here to be your partner, Lance. That's a snap. But it has the same effect. Lance, growing confident, shrinks immediately. I'm not even here to sync with you in the simulator. I'm here until Shira recovers, and I'm buying my stay by helping with the cadets. He takes a nice step back. Lance says follow. Once I know Shira's okay, I'm out of here. What? Just like that? Spoon hand on his hip, waving the ice cream carton around in the air as he scowls. You're just going to leave? Again? Dude, you're good at this. I don't belong here, Lance. He waves a hand around. Heck, he's been here for just a couple of weeks, and he's already picking up on Lance's mannerisms again. All of this, it's not me. This is your home. Lance takes a step forward, but Keith mirrors it with a step back. Keith feels a tug at his heart, something sad, something that tastes sour. It lets itself smile, but it's small, and it doesn't reach his eyes. No, starts whistling. We talk big about everyone here being family, but when it came down to it, you never asked me to stay. Lance smiled opens, then a snapshot. Brown Sparrow, anguish in his eyes, right along with fear in his face. I tried to stop you, but you never asked me to stay. He's moving backwards again, toward the door. He noticed that the ice cream in his bowl must already be melting. You never said you wanted me to stay. Keith, it's one word, cut up by his own lips, right on the cusp of crack. He doesn't want to hear it. Whatever Lance is going to say, it might take him consider staying. He can see in his eyes. So he turns, walking out the door. Good night, Lance. Oh my god. There's some drama going on. I mean, Lance becoming an arranger right now, but he needs a compatible with someone else. Okay? He needs to be a partner to do all the drifting. King knew that someone's gonna be there's gonna be a partner to it. But that's not what Lance wanted to do. Okay? Lance doesn't have a partner now. Well, Hunk was his best friend, okay? He's being a mechanic for so long, but he needs really a partner. Not Laura, not Hunk, not anyone else, but Keith. And Keith doesn't want it. He'd rather, you know, get out of there and help with all of this. He wants that because he knew nothing, but he wants to know if Shiro was okay, if he's okay from that little rift or something. So yeah, there's some problems going on there. There's something that yeah, this is something that he used to take the offer because he wants the Lance wants the offer to be the partner of this drift thing here, but he doesn't wanna. I don't know what he has gotten into it, but I'm sure he'll have to find a way back and do all these things. Gonna be terrible. I'm pretty sure. I'm very confident. Stupid, freaking. He walks into the room just in time for Pitch to throw her helmet against the ground. It bounces and rolls. Come to a step just in front of him. Looks from it to Pitch. Eyebrow raised. Rough day. She ships, uncomfortable, with a sudden audience, but stubborn to a fault. Her lips are pursed in a half scowl, half pout, stood up into the similar array. She crosses her arms over her chest, turning with a hug to glare at the brain in the jar. I can't even drift with this thing, is what she says. I'm here in the middle of the night so I can try to get the hang of this without everyone watching me because I'm still struggling with it and it's embarrassing, is implied. Is this still Oriane? Keith asked conversationally, letting the scoop up her helmet before setting up to the ring. Yeah, and it sucks. It's supposed to be easy to drift with, and I can't do it. I keep getting kicked out. Yeah, well, it taps on a glass tube where the brain hoovers in Italy bound water, all plugged in and strangely peaceful. They have this old rig since I was here. There was a pain in the butt back then, too. Why can't I get it? Her voice is soft, bitter, and has an edge of genuine despair that he's never heard from Pitch before. It sounds like hopelessness, like giving up, and he doesn't like it. It doesn't suit her. She looks away, pinched between her brows, shoulders raised. I should just leave. Maybe they're right. I'm too young for this. Or or maybe I'm a better off as a mechanic. Bullcrap. What? I said bullcrap. He steps up to her, shoving the helmet against her chest, hard enough to make her stumble and grab it. He then moves away, switching the similar rig from the Orient brain to a partner sequence. You've done things they never thought possible. They push you because they think you should be a natural at this. But you only ever control a single pilot rig. Once you get the hang of the drifting, you'll be fine. But I don't know how. Every time I try, it's just There's so much. I get lost in it and the connection breaks, so don't get lost on it. Page notes, a hint of sarcasm, a roll of her eyes, finally breaking the English cotton case. Gee, why did I think of that? He grabs the secondary hammer, hooks up to the simulator, and takes place. I'm not going to tell you it's easy. It's not. But you're getting kicked out because you're fighting your memories. You're getting stuck in them. You have to let them happen. Let them wash over you and move on to the present. He takes a deep breath, steadying himself to do what he's always said, never to again. But drifting with Pitch seems a hell of a lot easier than drifting with Lance. Besides, he doesn't want to see Pitch give up so easily. And, well, if he's being honest, he's missed it. Drifting, piloting, controlling a Jaeger. He'll never admit to anyone, but he missed it. Ready to try it again? Yes, holding the helmet poised above his head. Pitch grins, crooked and excited. Newfound spark in those mischievous eyes. Heck yeah! He pulls the helmet on, and they start up the neutral handshake. It's a rush. It's always been a rush. But he's forgotten the burnt of the force that whips through him, stealing his breath away, making him feel like he's being ripped from this reality for just a second. Only a second. Before the sink, he can the rush of memories passing. A whirlwind, a storm, whipping past and rushing toward the present. His memories, his memories, her thoughts and feelings, and everything just stopped. Color and sound swirling around him, emotions banging around his chest, reverberating with echo of what they once were, getting louder and stronger with each vibration. He sees himself distorted, blurred at the edges with time, colors bright and satirizing the memory. He sees himself, younger, starting through the halls of the shadow. Keith! Lance comes skidding to the hall, near colliding with the wall before pushing off and chasing after Keith, grabbing his arm, yanking him to a stop. Keith's own heart pounds in time with memory of how scared he was, how worried, how angry. What are you doing? You can't just leave. Yes, I can. He rips his arm out of Lance's grasp, whipping around and taking a few steps back, putting distance between him. He's breathing heavily, spitting venom, his eyes ablaze and hunched like a wild animal. In fact, I have to. They're not exactly giving me a choice. Hearing us how this all happened, Sheer had gone missing and had broken something inside Keith. Something had just snapped, being left behind, being abandoned again, being alone. Things had gone to stop fast. Irritable, angry at everything, frustrated at his own feelings and feeling like he had no control. He had pushed everyone away from him, including Lance, especially Lance. Lance, the only one in his whole dang place who was compatible, who understood him, who got him, who could drift with him. Patient and kind Lance, cocky and self-conscious Lance, confident and nervous Lance, excited and proud of the fact that he could drift with the program's golden child, proud that he had whistled his way into being friends with Keith Sheridan. He had, though, no, he'd known because he could feel it, but he had been in Lance's head. He knew that there was an echo of his own feelings in Lance. They they felt something for each other, but Lance had rejected whatever was growing inside him. He's rejected and hopelessly pined after Laura. Keith had felt that too. And that it hurt. It hurt at a time when Keith was already hurting. It tipped him over the edge. So he had done something stupid, tried to prove that he didn't need a partner to trip, that he was strong enough on his own and didn't need Lance. He was trying to find Shiro, knew that Shiro had to still be alive. He had gone very far, just a few steps in a would-be stolen Jaeger before he collapsed. They said he nearly died. They say he wasn't suited for the program after all. They kicked him out, and a part of him had been happy for it. You're the best pilot in this program. Lance protests. Everyone's, it's said, without any sort of bitterness or gain, just this desperate plea. You could convince them to let you stay. You're a Shirogane. If Shir was here, well, he's not, is he? He turns then, stumbling back off down the hall. And now, neither am I. Lance doesn't move but calls a Keith, weren't you mad at me just 2 days ago? Keith says over his shoulder, slowing but never stopping. You call me a reckless hothead and complain about getting stuck with me or a partner. Remember that, Lance? You said it was a good thing the war was over because we never make it with the way my mistakes failed our last sip. Keith, just let me go, Lance. And Keith, he hesitates. Despite himself, his steps slow, pause, hover in his stretched moment of in between, waiting, hoping. The Lance doesn't stop him, and Keith keeps walking. He's ripped from the neutral handshake, violently and suddenly. The breath rushes from him again, leaving him dizzy and disoriented. He jerks the helmet from his head, tosses it to the ground as he falls to his knee, breathing heavy, sweat trickling down his brow, eyes wide and heart hammering his memory, as all the thoughts and emotion for that moment fades. Whoa! He hears Page's soft whisper, and suddenly she's beside him, one hand on his shoulder, and he squeezes, his eyes shut. He wants to shove her away. There's no point. She's seen it all. She knows. She knows better than anyone now. It looks like I'm not the only one stuck in the past. She steps away then, holding out a hand. He stares at her for a moment before meeting her eyes. They're not as bright. They're sad, conflicted, torn, a reflection of what he feels. He's sure his own emotions are still fading from her head as well. But she smiles, crooked and dry humor as she says, come on, looks like we're gonna be up all night working through our baggage together. He hops out a short laugh, taking her hand and climbing to his feet. For the first time in a while, he doesn't feel so alone. Oh, now he wants to be partnered with Pitch. Okay, says that, and then all just putting on the helmet, just getting everything from the past. It's just, oh my goodness. I think the world is gonna be turning so ugly when this ring is big. Damn, but after all said and done, this is yeah. Having he tried to have a little chance because of this stupid program that he intended to, and now they just turn out every single time. And now he doesn't want to be part of it. He wants to rather find Cheryl and be the partner for themselves, rather than being alone. Key, why did you do that? Okay, there's just something going wrong right now, and I wanted to read as much as I can, but Kate's got some problems right now, and he has to fix it. The Red Lion is really a sight to behold. Similar design to Sharon Lewis Yeager. The Black Lion, but built smaller, sleeker, meant more for quicker maneuvers and speed, more agile, up to date, and with all the latest tech. And of course, red. Heat sits on one of the crates piled up on the flight deck floor, probably with supplies or scrap. For now, forgotten. Let's deal with later. A place for him to perch and be out of the way. He sits, one knee pulled up, arms wrapped around it, while the other leg dangled, head tilted back, eyes on the towering beauty of the red line. Once upon a time, she was meant to be his. Well, his and Lance. He only got to operate her a few times, but it was a rush unlike any other. Sometimes he likes to imagine doing it again. He likes to imagine what it would be like to pilot a Jaeger, the trip with Lance. But then he hears Lance's voice. It's not hard, despite being a fair distance away. Lance's voice carries unlike any other. And Keith is unfortunately tuned to it. So here's Lance's loud laugh. Keith's automatically following the sound to find where Lance stands near the base of the red line, with Hunk and Allura. His elbow is resting on his shoulder, leaning into it as he explains something, gesturing wildly with his other hand. She doesn't touch him back, arms crossed loosely over her chest as she listens, but she looks at ease, relaxed, attention wholly on him. And Keith's chest squeezes, heart aching something fierce as he forces himself to look away. Back up the length of the red line, he had really hoped things would be better this time, that these traitorous feelings would have died down. He didn't expect Lance to be so handsome and still so Lance. When he's not scowling and jabbing, heck, even when he is, he's so Lance. So much like Key remembers, but more. And times Key has caught him smiling, especially when it's a small secret smile that Lance shoots him, like they're sharing an inside joke, that there's something between them. Well, Keith's heart is having a hard time taking it. Seeing him with Laura is a sore reminder of what he was foolish enough to believe he could have. She is beautiful, isn't she? She says, conversational and casual as he settles on his feet. He leans against the crates, arms crossed over his chest, head tilted back to gaze up at her. She is, he agrees. But there's really no doubt, especially when he spent the last hour or so admiring her. She's just a shadow of black though. Sure humps, Buffalo. I don't think so. True, she's modeled after black, but she's a beautiful, powerful Jaeger in her own right. I guess. Red's always seemed like a stranger between a mockery and black, like a replacement, and also a gift. A red line for the younger Shirgani brother to follow after Shir's footsteps. He looks at Shir's then, looks put together in his uniform, tall and proud, not a stitch out of place, but there are bangs under his eyes that look far too distant and far too tired. Shouldn't you be resting? A small farm bird twists his lips. I've been resting for months. It's about time I get back to things. Figure out where I stand, what I can do. We'll be fine. You've been through a lot, and you're about to go through more. He sighs, eyes dripping down to the ground. Raspberry. They're coming, Keith. I don't know when, but Hagar's army, they're coming. She wants to open the rift again, and she knows that we're only force that can stop her. She would have had the element of surprise if I hadn't escaped, and now all you can do is try to be ready when she comes. We will be, he says, putting a hand on Shira's shoulder. Shira looks at him, a grateful smile shifting to something more hesitant, something almost wary as he says, gentle and firm, the way he always has been when he gives Keith news he doesn't want to hear. That means we have to have our best pilots and Jaegers, which means you, Shiro, no, need to pilot Red with Lance. He groans, long and loud, pulling his hand back and letting his head fall forward to rest on his knee. If he's being honest, he knew this was coming. He could see it coming a mile away. As soon as Shiro woke from his coma and told him that the scientist Oliver Hagar had gone rogue and was planning on opening the rift with modified Jaeger kaiju hybrids. He knew he'd tried to put him back in red, which is kind of why he's been out there staring at her, trying to work up the courage to do it, trying to settle his nerves. I don't want to, Mons. I know you want to pilot her again. But with Lance, he's the only one you're compatible with. There's you. I have different responsibilities now. You know that. A hand falls heavily to his shoulder, confident and grounded. He squeezes his eyes shut and lets out a shaky sigh. He missed Cher so much. Hates that the first thing they have to do after he's found is prepare for war. I know things between you and Lance are tense. Keith snores a short laugh, one manager. That's one word of it, but I think you should give him a chance. But he's not the same kid he used to be. He still acts like it. Maybe he's just as uncertain about you as you are of him. Doubtful. He walks around here all huffy and arrogant. He's got real confidence now. Swings his hips and stomps around like, oh, look at me. I'm a hotshot pilot. Name's Ranger McLean now. I am so handsome and sexy. Keeps his head, places his chin on his knee and scowls. Eyes finding where Lane is still talking with Uncle Lord. And he is, Thomas, not all happy about it. Handsome and sexy. You know, Shira says, all slow and strained. And when Keith looks up at him, he sees the barely contained smile. The way Shira's eyes are tilted at the edges. The way they're practically dancing with amusement. The laugh finally started to leak into his voice. When I told him he'd be piling red with you, he said practically the same thing. Keith's a traitor. Blinking Auschwitz here. He thinks I'm handsome? I believe the exact words were hot and badass. Keith drifts back to Lance, tugged by an unseen force, like it always is. Back to Lance. Always back to Lance. He's waving to Allura as she excuses herself, walking away, and then he just turns hunk. No fanfare, no kiss goodbye, no long gazes or lingering sighs, no money after her as she leaves or falling over Hunk as he lamps over her absence. Just nothing. Normal conversation. Nothing like how he used to look at her, act around her. Nothing. Like how he still kind of does with Keith. It's such a small thing, but that combined with what Shira said, Keith might be starting to feel something that seems dangerous akin to hope. And when he feels hopeful, he tends to get excited and impulsive. Fine, he says. Before he can stop himself, he looks back to Shira, lips pursed, eyes narrowed, and heart released. I'll do it. Okay, so yeah, this is all about now. Now Shiro finally sells in here because he's been hiding in the background. He's still alive, but this red lion, this red thing here, he wants to have it compatible with each other. And Heat and Lance would be the perfect thing. There's a lot of describing things as no. If someone describes to this thing that's about piling the red, he describes Lance as handsome and sexy. But on the other hand, when Shiro asked the same thing about Nobi being the red, Lance described Keith as hot and bad. So what do you say? So if Shiro says, like, what do you say? You want to be compatible with Lance and piling red together? Keith would say yes. Okay, that something. That will be something that we'll have discussed about. Good one. Thank you, Shiro. Turns out Hagar is coming. Quickly turns to Hagar is here. They crawl out of the ocean just off the Shadow Dome. Strange mechanized hybrids of Jaeger parts and kaiju brains, pulsing brown pieces of flesh visible between the plates of metal. Four of them, as big as Jaegers and just as deadly, summoned toward the Shadow Dome. The flight deck is chaos. People are scrambling, gunners to their stations, pilots to their aircrafts, mechanics to their places, rangers to their Jaegers. Everyone is gaping, watching, running, trying to get safe, trying to get in position, shouting, yelling. Orders fly, but they just blur into the chaos. He is sprinting across the flight deck. He was with Shiro when the monstrosities were pink offshore. Shiro told him to run for red. He left him with a command hub. He shoves past away with people, a tide trying to get inside. Deeper into the base, he weaves through them, leaps over equipment, makes a mad dash while Red is stopped, silent, and waiting. He can only hope Lance is close by, despite both agreeing to partner up again. They haven't drifted again yet. Despite bugging Keith to enter the sim with him, once Keith agreed, Lance seemed more hesitant, and Keith himself wasn't going to push the issue. They're both uncertain about it, shy, almost, tiptoeing around what both of them know, but neither wants to say, dancing around what they don't want to acknowledge. But that's what will become glaringly obvious the moment they sink. But there's no more beating around the bush now. No time for hesitation and worry and what ifs. He thinks it might be better this way. He's always been good at just diving in. Colvin and Anton are the first to their Jaeger, more blade, suited up, synced in, and moving to meet the threat. Keith isn't surprised. They're veterans from the war and have been doing this far longer than most. What is surprising, however, is how quickly more blade is knocked down. They rush to meet the hybrids crawling to the Shadow Dome's flight deck, swinging their weapon forward, only to be met and pushed back. It's a grapple, a terrifying one. Back during the war, when he was young, he saw Jaegers fight the kaiju. He's never seen Jaeger fight a Jaeger as the first to fight. Memorial Blade is quickly outnumbered. An arm is ripped off, goes flying across the deck to hit and slit, now screeching against metal. People scream as they scramble out of the way, sparks flying, and the Memorial Blade is pushed hard. They're sent flying backwards, tumbling, tilting, falling. People shout as they get out of the way, rush away from Jaeger's shadow, and while Key is far away, running for his own mech, he stops because Lance. Lance is Mars' blade shadow. Lance frozen, looking up at the falling Jaeger. Lance about to be crushed. Key tries to shout, tries to call for him, but his heart is frozen in his throat, fear choking and suffocating. Blood turns to ice in his veins. And then Laura is there, a flash of uniform and blur of white hair. She collides with Lance and knocks him out of the way. And the two of them are falling, hitting the ground hard, rolling safely out of the way, just barely, as a memorial blade lands with a deafening crash. Keith throws up in his arms to block the sharp debris, the rush of the wind tugging at his air clothes. Memorial blade doesn't stay down for long. As soon as the momentum slows, they're pushing themselves back to their feet. With only one arm, They move back towards the fray, now joined by a couple more Jaegers. Key's already running, sprinting toward where he last saw Lance, hard to disrobe, only to find Laura on top of him, propped up on her elbows to look down Lance, lying on his back, and Keith's heart probably sinks low in his throat. Seriously? He says, exasperated and bitter. You don't have time for this, and this is definitely not something he needs to see before drifting with Lance. They both look at him, hands snapping to the side, eyes wide. He glares at them both, door in his hands. Really? Now? Keith's already blown off of Lance, pushing herself to her feet as scrambles and Keith, wait! We don't have time for this, Lance, he snaps, turning and running for the red line stop. Keith! Lance rushes to catch him, reaches for him to grab his arm, but then the ground shakes. They both stumble. Keith pulls from his grasp and keeps running. One of the Jaegers has been thrown to the ground, but he doesn't have time to see who it is. They just need to get to their own. They need help. Keith! Lance grabs again, spinning him around. Hands on Keith's upper arms, caging him in, anchoring in place. Lance close, so close, scowling at him with anguish swimming in his eyes. There is a crisis happening. Sirens blaring, people shouting, figures flying right on the doorstep. Yet all Keith can focus on is how big Lance's hands are. How his fingers wrapped around Keith's arms and pull him forward. Listen to me. Keith struggles, but Lance doesn't let him budge an inch. It's as frustrating as it is exhilarating. Lance got so strong. We don't have time. We do if we want to sing properly. Just freaking Keith. They're practically wrestling in the middle of chaos. People swarming around them. Giant mechs fighting by the edge of the shadow, each of them shaking the ground beneath them. All of them are in danger, and Keith and Lance are grappling like children. It's not what you think, okay? Lance, I know what you think. Keith snaps, scowl fierce. He meets Lance's eyes and feels the crackle between them. The static, the potential, the lane. Lance has never backed down from him. He likes it. He hates it. I used to be in your head, remember? I know how much you like her. How much you always like her. I used to like her. Lance cuts him off, straining his voice, tight and wound up as his hands tighten around Keith's arms. It blinks, expression looking torn. Or I guess I still like her, but as a friend, nothing's going to happen between us. He doesn't know how to feel about that. He knows how he wants to, but he's hesitant. Doesn't want to hope. Hope is dangerous, but you want there to be. No, it's fierce and quick. Decisive. Lance's expression hardens, stern and serious. It's a good look on him. Keith hates how he shivers. A deep breath, and softens. His grip loosens, but he doesn't let go. Keith doesn't try to pull away. We tried it, but things didn't work out. Keith tries to hop, tries to sound sarcastic, bitter, anything but vulnerable and uncertain. He fails miserably. His voice comes out in a whisper amongst chaos, attempt at sharp humor to turn wavering and cracked. What? Did you find out she's not as perfect as you think she is? Something like that. And then, despite it all, Lance smiles, slow inside, confident, nearly smug, almost charming. It's just a small lopsided tilt to his lips, but shines in his eyes. Lifts his entire face, leans in close, hands sliding down Keith's arms to hands, squeezing his fingers. Keith stays frozen, unable to move away, breath caught in his lungs as Lance presses the front scared, heart stuttering as he feels Lance's breath bent out across his lips and cheeks. Lance stares at him, confident smile still in place, voice far too gentle for the chaos around him as he whispers, I realize she's not you. He doesn't know how to breathe, forgets how. His tongue is tied and knots, body frozen. His mind is a blanket of white noise, clatter, the moment around them, far, far away as it feels itself drowning Lance's eyes. Keith, Lance! They jerks apart, stumbling the back several steps as the ground shakes once more. Eyes wide, looks to Laura. She stands nearby, hands on her hips. She looks like she's trying to seem stern, but there's a smile playing across her lips and getting to this. You can talk about it, Raider. Ryan, they need the red line. Get your hands in the game. Lance snaps, sounding breathless and exhilarated. Really. Right, you got it, Princess. He gives a little salute and runs past Keith. Give them hell, she says, and Keith gives her a small smile and a nod before Lance grabbing his wrist, yanking him around and dragging him up towards the red glass docking bay. Everything moves in the blur, running for their station, changing to their suits. Half of it is muscle memory, and the other half is autopilot. People are around, shoving him along, handing him pieces of his suit, helping him into it. He can share over the comms, barking out orders. Here's a lure on flight tech. organizing those who are panicking. He hears the Jaegers fighting hackers hybrids. His heart is racing, blood pumping, eager to join the fight, eager to drift again. Patrol eager. It all moves so fast, but as he and Lance step into the combat, oh, it seems too slow. It's surreal being back here, seeing the world through the screen at this height, being in the suit again, being here with Lance. Lance, so freaking. Second they strip, Lance gonna know it all anyway. Hey, he says, turning around, stepping away from the spot, moving toward Lance. He faces, already hooked into the rig, his helmet in his hands, eyes ready to Keith's approach, and brows furrowed in vision. Keith, what are you? He doesn't get the finish. Keith doesn't let him. Steps right onto his pet and grabs him behind the head, pulling him forward into a kiss that's honestly not really great. It's all force and teeth, nose bumping and lips pinch, both of them stiff and startled. But then Lance is relaxing, doesn't against him. Feels fingers in the back of his head, sinking to his hair, holding them in place as Lance adjusts the kiss. He tilts his head, getting just the right angle, and oh, that's so much better. Their lips stop to get perfectly warm and lingering, firm and wet. It started this, but he doesn't know what to do. Thankfully, Lance does, and he's hungry for it. He guides Keith through the push and pull. Keith has always been a quick learner, and in this, he's an eager student. As the kiss breaks, both of them left panting. They don't move away. Hearts express chest to chest, holding each other by the back of the head, helmets at their sides. They press their foreheads together and just breathe. I always wanted to do that, he breathes, voice ragged out but lilting. A rush of adrenaline and relief making him feel giddy. Wanted to make sure I got the chance, since we're probably about to die. Lance starts pressing his forehead harder against Keith. We're supposed to stay optimistic with the cadets, role models, and all that. He presses a soft kiss to Keith's lips, lingering and reverent. Besides, he says, his pulls away, far enough to get a good look at Keith, held tilted and smile lopsided and quiet. Now that you've done that, I'm definitely going to make sure we won't die. Try to survive. Keith feels himself elated, cocky, smart. A crackle of electricity between them and fire in his lungs. For the fight, for the drip, for Lance. Try to keep up. Lance snorts, rolling his eyes and shoves away, back towards his own rig. As he settles his helm over his head, he flashes Keith a cocky grin. Always do. In the drift, it's a rush unlike any other. Everything sweeps him. Everything he is, everything Lance is. Their memories, their thoughts, their emotions, weaving together, mingling, a connection shared between them, a connection unlike anything else he's ever felt. He's drifted with Sheer before and with Pitch, but that compares to how it feels when he syncs with Lance. And as Red takes his first step out of the docking bay, he finds himself grinning, knows that Lance is grinning too, because he can feel it. This thing they have together, this passion and this drive for the fight to be better, to protect for each other. No questions, no doubts, only certainties, only determination, only a single-minded fire to fight, survive, protect, to be together. He can feel in his heart that for once they're perfectly innocent. And now it's time to give him hell. And that is it for Drift Compatible. Oh, if I'm rushing through this last part because I want to get this thing out of the way and everything and all that. But holy crap, I am finished with this one shot and I finished with everything right now. I'm all up to date. They're finally getting their things together, getting all their stuff together. And now the Reds are finally sync and they're ready to be in this battle. The war is about to begin. Well, the war has just begun right now, so fight for what they have and protect for what they're gonna do and everything and such. Okay, that is everything. Looks like I finished it and I updated everything. That's all of it. That's all the chapters that I have done, and looks like I'm done with everything. Looks like I'm up to date. But there will be more of the fics we have. Fics that I'm gonna have to read more often than not. With this fic or something like that. I'll see you next time. All right, guys. Goodbye, everyone.